Welcome to Curtis Ghost Corner, coming to you from a secret underground base in occupied America. Well, folks, when are you going to wake up? They are in charge of sending tens of millions of illegals into the country and being paid for by you, the taxpayer. During the omnibus vote for the Senate to not close down the government, which nobody really notices when they do, all Senate Dems vote against borrowing taxpayer funds to fly illegal migrants to U.S. towns. Senator Haggerty said Democratic lawmakers' votes are indefensible. Now, Senator Haggerty is from Tennessee, a state that I hope and pray before the end of my life that I live in. I'm 67. I'm eyeballing moving from upstate New York if things work out. Folks, they're replacing you, especially minorities. The Democrats are setting up a permanent one-party system in the country. Estimates from illegal immigrants and representation in Congress, between 12 and 16 more Democratic Congress people are in the Congress because of illegals being counted in the census. Now, those of you that have been following Congress lately, a couple of congressmen, rhinos, I call them undocumented Democrats, quit, just outright quit. One quit far enough in advance so there wouldn't be a special election, so the seat would sit vacant. That's what pieces of garbage they are. The fact of the matter is, there's only one now majority of Republicans in the House. One. This is in the Senate. Let's read on. Every Democratic lawmaker in the Senate voted against an amendment that would bar taxpayer funds from being used to fly illegal aliens to U.S. towns and cities, according to the Republican senator behind the amendment. Now, the funny part is I've seen on videos where there's been undercover video, they'll show some of these illegal migrants getting on planes, no name, no ID. Try to get on a plane with no name and no ID. I guess if you're a citizen, doesn't, the law applies to you, but if you're an illegal, who cares about the law? TSA, well, let's let you on. Nice flights, too. Tonight, every single Senate Democrat voted against my amendment that would stop the Biden administration from using taxpayer dollars to charter flights for hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens from their countries directly to American towns to be resettled. Republican Tennessee Senator Bill Haggerty tweeted early Saturday morning, indefensible, and it is. Indefensible. Where are they bringing them? And they're strategically bringing them to places. I live in upstate New York, small town of about 45,000. I used to be on the city council in the 2000s for 8 years. So I know the city fairly well. I hear reports from people that early in the morning, when people go to the food banks, they really desperately need the food that are U.S. citizens. A lot of them are wiped out because guess what? First thing in the morning, the few illegals we do have go in there and wipe the place out. Now, I've yet to find anybody that can get any film of this. Maybe I'll try it myself sometime, which would be an interesting video. But that's what's happening all over the country. It's amazing to me. Tonight, every single Democrat voted against my amendment that would stop Biden administration from using taxpayer dollars. Now, let's see what the senator has to say.
In order to consider my very simple and reasonable amendment, it's vital that the Senate must move the Democrat leader's blocking amendment out of the way in order to move forward with my amendment. Let me cut through the procedural language here. I'm bringing forward a vote on a very simple question. Do you support American taxpayer dollars being used to fly illegal immigrants from countries like Venezuela and Haiti into America to be settled in cities and towns near you? If so, then vote against me. Vote no to preserve this practice of using taxpayer dollars to charter planes that move and import thousands of illegal aliens into your states. Make no mistake here, President Biden has been secretly flying hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens from foreign countries into Blue City airports. Just last year alone, in 2023, it was reported that some 320,000 illegal aliens have been flown in using this method. Americans are
Senator's
shocked.
time has expired. Does the Senator?
Well, there you have it. It's been going on for a while. And a lot of I'm a big proponent of law enforcement. When I ran the local elections, I always got their endorsement. Border Patrol agents going along with it, and federal agents who took an oath to the Constitution, just like the oath that I took when I was sworn in. They said, well, we're just following orders. Well, that doesn't work anymore. You tried that at Nuremberg. It doesn't work. You have to ask yourselves, why are they doing it? Well, this isn't a conspiracy theory anymore or some mega Republican nonsense. They are sending in millions of people, allowing them to come in this case, over 320,000 on private planes at huge expense, and giving them food, clothes, medical care that simply most Americans can't afford, or many can't afford the medical care that they get. $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month on a card. You don't have to give them cash, just give them a card. Every place takes cards. You can buy anything anywhere with a card. You just need the PIN number, and every month the money gets replaced. Why are they doing this? Democrats, if you're still Democrats and voting for Democrats, this is what you're voting for. Why on earth are you doing this? Wake the frick up. Let me cut through the procedural language. And he went on what he said in the video. Vote no to preserve the practice of using taxpayer dollars. And they did. The nays were 51 and the ayes were 47 for a total of 98. Apparently 2 senators are missing. It's amazing to me. Lawmakers voted the measure down 51-47. All Democrats voted against the amendment, but no Republicans did. The amendment was included in the Senate's late night vote Friday to avoid a government shutdown. Shut it down. The House passed the $1.2 trillion government funding bill earlier Friday before making its way to the Senate, where lawmakers were in a standoff on whether to vote on the amendments to the bill. And there you go, more than 1,000 migrants. This is one little snapshot. Awaiting entry into the United States from Juarez. Juarez is right across the border from El Paso. I was a small kid. I was born in 56, so it was probably around 1966. I stayed in New Mexico with my uncle, and we went to El Paso and walked across the bridge into Juarez. I remember you walk across the bridge, you put a penny in the toll, no passport, no papers, and then you walk back. What has happened? What has happened? You can have open or really free immigration, and you can have social welfare programs, but you cannot have both. Not only will it dilute the country and the workforce and put hundreds of thousands of American citizens out of work, but it will cost the American taxpayers billions of dollars in medical, food, and shelter. You can have open immigration. You say, well, all those millions that came in, John, the Statue of Liberty and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's true. And there were no welfare programs either. When the welfare program started under Johnson administration in the 60s, diabolical, I might add, that changed the rules for immigration dramatically. And don't tell me these people are fleeing because of persecution. It's absolute bullshit. Let me explain what's happening right now. Democrat senators are afraid to take a position on Biden's failed policies by voting on amendments to the appropriations bill. They'd rather shut down the government and take a position on President Biden's failures. They would rather shut down the government. This thing should have passed 98-0. Who could possibly be for bringing in illegal immigrants and fly them around at taxpayers' expense? It boggles my mind. The Senate ultimately cleared the spending bill after a midnight deadline to avert a government shutdown, following votes on a handful of Republican-backed amendments and proposals. The Senate voted 74-24 to fund the government through September, sending the bill back to President Biden's desk, which he signed Saturday. So it was still the same 98, but 24 Republicans said no. Out of 47, come on, guys. Why don't we want to be blamed for the shutdown? Shut the damn thing down. Haggerty's tweet detailing how much each Democrat voted against his amendment was racked up more than 30 million views as of Sunday, with critics of the Democrat lawmakers' votes yielding condemnation online. That's insane. Tech billionaire Elon Musk tweeted, "Who is an immigrant?" And he's an African American. Everybody laughs when I say that. He's from South Africa originally. We're witnessing in real time the planned and controlled destruction of this country. Former University of Kentucky swimmer and activist Riley Gaines tweeted in response, "Well, what does she know? She's just a swimmer." Because it's obvious. That's how. It's incredible to me. We're watching this in real time. The controlled destruction of the most powerful and richest nation that ever existed on Earth. And they're standing by and watching. Why aren't people raising hell? Why aren't these Democrat senators? Granted, only a third of the Senate is up for re-election every 3 years. This is what happens, folks, when Woodrow Wilson, the worst president that ever lived in the United States, put forth an amendment to change it so the U.S. Senate was originally picked by the states because the senators represented the states, the House represented the individual people. Put an amendment in now. It's a popular vote for Senate, and a third is up every 2 years. It's a 6-year term. When that started, this thing started to go downhill, and it escalated during the 1960s during the so-called Great Society programs. Now you can have senators, say, from Rhode Island get hundreds of millions of dollars in donations from all over the country, whereas before donations weren't necessary because you didn't run an election. Your state legislature picked you, and they said, well, this was a stop the corruption. What a crock of bullshit. The founders are turning over in their graves. Unbelievable. Because from Kristi Noem, maybe the VP pick, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the rest of the radical left wing of the Democrat Party created this border crisis on purpose. They're not continuing it on purpose. We need to stop them this November. I don't know if the damage is too far. I don't even know if it's. I know what will happen. Say Trump wins, and he starts deporting people. Well, they've gotten court dates 5, 6, 7 years in advance. Some judge somewhere, some progressive moron, is going to say you can't deport them. They got a court appearance date. Well, the Remain in Mexico statute, or the powers of the president in an executive order, saying if you want to file for asylum in the U.S., feel free through a port of entry. You just have to wait in Mexico or somewhere else until your case is resolved. That's been waived. That's been waived. Border Patrol catches somebody in the interior of the country unlawfully. They get their name, they fingerprint them, they get a DNA, they probably get a benefit card, and they say, here's a court date 5 years from now, and they cut them loose. And they cut them loose. I don't know how these federal employees can sleep at night. I really don't, especially Border Patrol. This is why Chuck Schumer scheduled this vote in the middle of the night on Friday. He did the same thing 2 weeks ago on my vote to stop illegals from being counted in the census. They're trying to hide it, he posted on X, formerly Twitter. At least 7.2 million illegal migrants have entered the U.S. under the Biden administration. That's in less than 4 years, which is greater than a population of 36 individual states. Now, here's a video from 2001, Biden's first year as president. Look at the nice plane these guys get to go on. No ID. They're not searching anybody. You try to get on a plane without any ID in the United States. It's amazing. They're flying them all over to make a permanent one party because their policies and their practices are unacceptable. to the majority of the American people. And the people that are Democrats will always vote Democrat, the vast majority. It's disgusting and wrong. People need to wake up. I was a Democrat when I was a local elected official. I left the party over 10 years ago. I probably should have left it prior to that. It's hard to admit as a grown man that everything you believed your whole life was a joke and was wrong. But you have to do it. And here they are spending all this money. It's amazing to me. A report published by the Center for Immigration Studies, a nonpartisan think tank, found the U.S. and Customs Border Protection has allowed secret flights to transport illegal aliens from Latin America to communities across the country. Roughly 320,000 migrants, illegal migrants, were flown to 43 different American airports from January through December of last year. It's amazing to me. And then the federal employees, the Border Patrol, the local sheriff, whoever, they stand by and they help them. They took an oath. Watching the dismantling of this country in real time is exactly right. You have to ask yourselves, why would they do it? What is it? An old saying, Chinese proverb, I believe, that an evil person will watch his country burn to ashes just so he can rule over the ashes. And this is no different. The Democrats are bringing in millions of illegals. It's unbelievable. If somebody had said this 20, 30 years ago, there's an old clip of Bill Clinton giving the State of the Union address that's saying that this is against federal law and you'll be punished and prosecuted. It's amazing. Now, Mexico, because they have no respect for the President of the United States or the American laws, are saying that if Texas has illegal aliens from Mexico, you can't bring them back. You can't bring back Mexican nationals that are here illegally back to Mexico. How effed up is that? That's insane. Anyway, folks, I don't know how this is going to end. I really don't. Even if Donald Trump wins, how the hell are you going to get 15 million people out of your country that are here unlawfully? How is that even possible? I know Eisenhower did a pretty good job, and other presidents. In fact, of all the Democrats, Barack Obama deported the most. They have a plan, and their plan is to flood the country with illegals for one-party rule, permanent rule. And the Republicans, of course, are spineless and do nothing. I know we're going to see what happens. And it's not going to be good. And even in the best case scenario, if Trump wins, the nightmare actually just begins. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.